As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. This one, news out of China. And the headline here is, Tencent deploys facial recognition to detect minors gaming at night. The Chinese tech company will use its Midnight Patrol system to keep tabs on minors' screen time as it continues to combat gaming addiction among younger players. I really have one question for you guys here. So obviously, basically what it's doing is Tencent's going to have software, like a facial verification system that's built into their games, and it will detect individuals who spend time online at night and basically shut them down, like essentially refuse them, ban their accounts, block them from playing the games. And this is for anyone, this is for minors between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. I'm curious if you guys think this changes any of the math people have been doing in terms of the size of the gaming market in China or the potential for the gaming market in China. Do we have to rethink some of the opportunity, the scale of the opportunity there, if there are going to be these kinds of restrictions?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a good point. I don't think so, only because I think that this isn't the first time that the government has had, various different crackdowns on, younger kids gaming. So I don't know how different this one is from sort of previous ones, or how long these things last, or if there's ways that people easily get around them. But it's an interesting thing to ask. I wasn't sure where we were going to go with this story, because obviously there's a million ways you could take it. This could turn into a geopolitical conversation, or a conversation about, okay, is it a good thing for minors for us to cut down on minors gaming? We don't want to go in those directions. So I think you actually had a good question. But yeah, I mean, I think that all of that is sort of a little bit baked in, and to some extent, I think that people spend to the amount that they have in their wallet, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is, if I am a minor and I have an allowance of $30 a week and I spend $15 of it gaming, I will spend those $15, whether it's in 5 hours of time or 10 hours of time. Most likely, you kind of can't spend more than you have. Maybe at the very margins, you get people with addictive personalities that are just staying up all night playing these like effective slot machine games and like spending beyond their means. But those people churn out, and those people will spend that money anyway because they have addictive personalities. So I think the willingness to pay is where you're going to hit up to on the demand curve, rather than, just like shrinking the time of play isn't going to shrink the depth of wallet, I guess.
William, you have a thought?
I don't know. You're all assuming that this technology actually does something, and I would think two things. Either one, it's easily defeated, right? Because I don't think you're going to stop kids from playing games. The only people who can really stop kids from playing games are parents and themselves, right? I think either the technology is going to be pretty easy to get around, in which case someone will find a way to get around it. It will profligate across online forums and it won't do anything. That's option one. Or option two is the technology is very effective, in which case people will just play non-Tencent games. I really think like that strongly about this. I think people who want to game at 9, or if you're a kid and you want to play games at 9, 10, or 11 o'clock at night, like you're going to try to play, you're going to find ways to play those games. So I think it's a cool story. I think it's really exciting. It points to new things. And I think in general, it points to new areas where gaming can be policed. And it's interesting that gaming is so socially powerful, it needs to be policed. But I don't think this particular thing will have much of an impact at all.
Well, it's also very loose in how they intend to enforce it. it says something about they will kick someone off if they spend excessive time gaming between those hours, but there's no real definition for what excessive time is. And I also think access to devices, they don't define the age of children. And I think that, most parents have a pretty good grasp on if a 4-year-old has a device or not. So I think there's a lot of factors to determine if this will be successful. But I just, to William's point, I think it'll either go by the wayside or be easily defeated, given that it's in such general terms anyway.
I'm really doubtful that it's easily defeated. Like they say in the article, it will be linked with big data from the central public security system, like literally the communist government's own like facial database and things like that. Like this seems like a serious effort to clamp down, and I think in the environment there, it's not something you usually mess with. Like they also cap purchases, to Jeff's point, so it's like if you're spending a lot outside of those hours, or there's patterns of addiction or things like that, then they can clamp down on that too. It's just, to me, this is minors, so they're talking 18, like under 18. 10 p.m. after 10 p.m. is, I would think, when a lot of 16, 17, this is the hours you play. You're not playing at 5 in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon. I personally think this is going to have a serious impact. And just saying let's not play Tencent games. I mean, what games in China are not at least partially owned by Tencent? To me, this is serious. I believe it's serious, and I think if I'm an investor, I put my investor hat on almost always. If I'm an investor and I'm trying to think, should I put my dollars in gaming in the U.S. or put my dollars in gaming in China? And I think a lot of people can, at least to me, try and make the case that there's so much opportunity in China. And it's not that I disagree. I just think you run into issues like this that you would never have in the U.S. and that you can't control for. That as an investor, you have absolutely no control over. And I think it's scary. I think it's really scary.
Well, to hearken that point, I mean, not again to make this political at all, but look at what happened with Didi, right? They just went public and they got taken off the App Store in China, like literally the day after they went public. Stocks down like 30%. So, yeah, just highlights that point. It's
a good point, and I think it's one of these things where not much you can do other than see how this plays out, right? Like they're either gonna hold the line here and it becomes just part of the environment there, or to William's point and Lindsay's point, maybe it doesn't work, maybe it's unenforceable and they give up on it. But I think it's an interesting development and one to watch closely.